when I was practicing at the Daily Center, I noticed that there was no court reporters in the courtroom. And I went back to my office and kind of thought about it a little bit. That said, that didn't seem right. I think I'll call Chicago Appleseed and I'll find out if they know anything about this. Hi, my name is Annie Garrity Helms. I'm Director and Counsel of U.S. Pro Bono Programs at DLA Piper.
Hi, I'm Larry Wojcik. I'm a partner in the litigation department of DLA Piper.
Since then, we've worked with Chicago Appleseed on a really important project to try to get court reporters or court recording equipment into courtrooms where people may be losing their homes or may be involved in domestic disputes with family members, but where there's no record of what's happening in those courtrooms, and therefore litigants really lose their meaningful right to an appeal.
And it's broader than just the right for an appeal. Without a recording device in the courtroom, there are times that indigent folks are not treated well by the court. The average time they have before the judge sometimes is less than a minute.
Hi, I'm Steve Arden. I'm an attorney at Lovey & Lovey, which is a civil rights firm in Chicago. With Appleseed, I've worked on issues relating to the appointment of the public defender. I've worked on issues relating to fines, fees, and costs that are imposed in the Cook County criminal court system. I've worked on issues that have to do with diversion of people before they even enter the court system in Cook County. So a few years ago, folks working with the Collaboration for Justice noticed that indigent criminal defendants in Cook County criminal courts at their bond hearings were being denied counsel, public counsel, just because they had posted bond to get out of prison.
We had judges who were giving accused unconstitutional choices. They could either post bail, but if they did, the judge would find that they were not entitled to appointment of counsel.
Now, of course, the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution requires a defense paid for by the public for all people who are indigent and can't defend themselves. And so Appleseed and the Chicago Council of Lawyers set about reforming this system so that there would be adequate and accurate hearings to determine whether criminal defendants in the Cook County system were indigent.
Senior associate here, Joe Rosilius, did a wonderful job preparing a memo that Malcolm was able to persuade Chief Judge Evans to take a look at. And that memo now sits on the bench of these criminal judges, reminding them that they can't give an accused that Hobson's choice of freedom or counsel.
My name is Judge Mary Colleen Roberts, and I'm assigned to the Domestic Relations Division. And prior to that, I was assigned to the Criminal Division for the majority of my judicial career. I got connected to Katie, and she just asked if we could have lunch. And she kind of laid out what the idea was going forward about how this court was going to start, and did I want to be involved in a problem-solving court. And I will tell you that when I heard her talk about it, I'm like, this isn't going anywhere. I was like, this is just social work in the courts, and there's no way that it's going to be effective. People are coming through the courts, going to jail, and going out, and they're just continuing to repeat, and there's really no way to end that. And she said, well, would you be interested in being a part of trying to end that. And I said, sure. I didn't have a whole lot of belief or hope that it could be effective, and it so totally proved me wrong. When we went to New York, and I saw what was going on in Brooklyn, at the Brooklyn Treatment Court, I was astonished. I kind of felt like, how naive have I been? Why was I not, why was I so mired down? And maybe it's because I was so mired down in the nitty gritty of seeing people, march in, get sentenced, march out. Maybe I was just so closed-minded because of all that experience that I didn't think that there was another way.
Personally, I do pro bono work for a lot of different organizations. I turn to Appleseed, though, when there is something on a broad basis that needs a solution. Litigation, a trial, can solve something, sometimes for a group of individuals in a class action. But whether or not it has lasting impact and really changes the system, you're never sure of. That case may only be good for that jurisdiction. But to get a result where policy has changed, where the way people are treated is changed, is just very satisfying.
Putting into place a reform that you immediately observe has broad-reaching effects for many, many people who otherwise are completely unrepresented in our system is really what Appleseed is all about. And I've seen, in a span of 12 months, for instance, in our project having to do with reform of the system for appointing public defenders, hundreds or thousands of people who had previously not been represented by the public defender as they should have been from the outset.
I think the challenge is when you're facing systemic issues, that they're systemic issues. There are a lot of different players involved, and it's really hard to know how to break through different levels of barriers that may present themselves when there is a problem. And one of the things that I love about working with Appleseed is that they understand the system so well and all of the different players in that system so well that they know right off the bat what is the best strategy.
One of their big strengths is after the problem's identified, then they really go to work in terms of research so that they're ready to make a great case. But it's not just a case about the problem. It's a case about what the solution should be and why the solution is something that the courts should embrace, our judicial system should embrace, society should embrace.
Appleseed consistently seeks out populations and problems that really wouldn't get the attention of any other group.
Happening. The way that specialty courts worked at 26th Street up until the time that Appleseed got involved was judge people would say to a judge, I want you to start a specialty court. And the judge would be like, okay. And then 50 cases would go on that new call, and you got your specialty court. There wasn't, and then it was kind of like throw you into the fire and then play catch up to learn and become effective. And so what Appleseed did was came in and said, okay, let's do this based upon what the research shows. There is actually a structure we can plug in here. We can take this structure and plug it in and make it work. And the difference between the ACT court and the other courts is that we had Appleseed provide technical assistance, which then allowed me to work with each of the defendants who were in front of me in a way that I don't think any other judge has been able to.
Throughout my career, I have found Malcolm to be just inspirational. He works tirelessly. he always works collaboratively. He exposes incredible problems that people in the system at times don't want to talk about, don't want to recognize. But he's able to do it in a way where he does not get a defensive reaction. He's able to make sure that Appleseed voice is always heard.
I think because Chicago Appleseed plays such an important role as a connector and as a voice of reason in a very complex legal system, they sometimes operate quietly and don't get noticed. And I think what I would like people to know about Chicago Appleseed is that quietly they are playing an incredibly important role in making our justice system more fair.
What I see Appleseed as, and I hope that the community, Chicago community, sees Appleseed as, is an organization that has people who are working towards systemic change using the research that's out there, the good research that's out there, to say there can be another outcome.
I really wish that people really appreciated what they do with such a very small budget. They are able to move mountains without a lot of resources. When I give money to Chicago Appleseed, I know that it's going to go to solve a problem. It's a donation that I enjoy making.
I've worked on many pro bono projects and I continue to do so, but when I think about where my time has the greatest effect, I think most often of Chicago Appleseed.